Hello, Sam. How
Hello.
are you?
I am fine, thanks.
We're gonna talk today about CGI for Squadron, a Star Trek film production. So I have a few questions for you. It's actually not your first project. So how many projects did you work on?
I sent you a list. It's. I didn't realize how many till you start putting it into a list. I think between sort of 13 and 15, if you count multiple in one, franchise like Dreadnought Dominion or Avalon, but a lot of one-offs as well. In the teens, and a lot unreleased.
I've tried to count them, and I get to number 23. Is it possible? Or maybe I counted something twice. I don't know.
Oh God, I didn't. Okay. Oh wow, is that embarrassing or brilliant? I don't know. Bit of both.
Well, it depends. It's a nice number.
Very proud of it.
How long
God.
do you work on those projects? When did you start it?
Well, I've been doing Trekkies, my Trek web series, for 5.5 years, and I was doing my own fan film during that. My gut says it was about year 2 that someone came to me, and it wasn't until year 3, so 3 years ago, that I got multiple at the same time, and then I found that once, people start realizing you're a good guy to go to and you make good stuff and a good amount of time, people just keep coming to you, and now I have repeat people, and I'm helping to forge these cool universes like Avalon. I have a lot of contribution to that and how that looks and how that feels, and it's and Romulan War, which hasn't been released yet, but I mean I've designed 10, 12, 15 things for it, from ships to space stations to work bees to shuttles. I mean it's very elaborate. A lot of stuff with my work in it.
So, are you actually creating those models?
No, I'm not a 3D modeler. I'm just an animator. If you look back to the original Star Trek TV shows, they had a team of VFX artists, and some could do a bit of everything, but really to have people that would focus their talents on either modeling or animating or texturing, and allow them to get the best results. And I can do bits and bobs with modeling. I can sort of tweak a model. I've learned how to take something and maybe make it look better or more flexible. But no, my skill is cinematography, is camera work, is taking a fake camera in a fake world and making it look really good. So no, I have a team of modelers that I'm very proud to work with, because they've stuck with me for a lot of this work.
So, what are you actually best at? Texturing? Modeling?
No, definitely camera work. I often make the joke that if you put me in a blank white room with a camera, I would find you an interesting angle. Because I can see angles and I can see things, and a lot of it's just gut reaction stuff. But if you put these ships in a situation, creating that feel, that movement, that camera work, that's what I can do. And it is really taking just a practical skill of a camera and just applying it to space stuff. I do think understanding the universe or doing CG in helps. A Galaxy class will move differently to a Defiant, and you can't reverse those styles of movement. It doesn't make sense. So you do need to understand the ships as well, but you take that, add the good camera work. That's my thing.
So actually moving the models as well as the camera?
Oh yeah. Everything to build the scene, yeah.
Is it just the ships in space? Or did you actually work any time on something else? I don't know, some props or interiors?
I've done some interiors, obviously all CG. I've designed a lot of sets for fan films as well. I've lit a few. That's not my key thing, but I can certainly visualize what's needed. And a couple of land, so I did a shot for Romulan War, which is very drastic if you actually think about it, of a Romulan ship that cloaked and stayed cloaked and entered the atmosphere and then bombed a planet by suiciding into it. And it's like, I had to make that. I had to make a groundwork and then make it fly into a city, and it was like, oh wow, this is elaborate, but looked good, so yeah.
Cool, so it's not out yet, so it was a major spoiler then.
It's in the trailer. Luckily, it's in one of the trailers.
Okay, I haven't seen it, so cool. Why did you actually start to working with the 3D models? Was it your love for ships at the beginning or something?
Love for ships? What makes you think that?
Well, wild guess.
I do remember thinking when I was young, because I've been watching Star Trek since I was about 3, and my father's very keen to sort of say, that moment was the day we watched Star Trek for the first time. And I do remember thinking, even back then, I'd love to see certain ships do different things that just wasn't being seen on the screen. obviously, as the shows got more elaborate, you start seeing cool things. But I always, why did we never see a Voyager next to Enterprise E? It was never done, and I always want to see those sorts of things. And so that was obviously an ambition to create. When I got into filmmaking in my middle of my schooling, I found my direction, which was filmmaking. And when I got to university, I made a fan film, Stargate fan film, in my first year, and that was a whole thing. But my second year, I thought I'd do a Star Trek one, and someone offered to do visual effects for me, but it was one shot every 3 weeks that was okay at best, and SD was never going to be good enough. And so I said, well, I just learned it myself. I started with Blender for about a week, and it wasn't very useful for me. So I learned Lightwave, and it took me 5.5, 6 years of Lightwave to get to where I am now. And now I can create, my passion to create my own film has driven me, and then working on Trek Yards, wanting to do animations from the get-go has really helped. And then obviously, if you're working for people on fan films, they expect more and more, and you want to give more and more. And so being forced to do, 35 shots for this project or 12 for this one, you have to keep developing your own skills. And if you look at my development from my first couple to my last couple or continuing couple, it's great. And I love people like Squadron that are going to come in right at the end of my current work. And it's like you get to benefit from all that knowledge and all that extra ability for just the same amount of me,
Yeah, that's cool. I've tried to play with Blender as well, but it never clicked. I've never been able to do anything with it. It's just I'm able to work with Photoshop, Blender. No, I was actually playing with Maya once or twice. It was cool. It was simple, but Blender, I don't know. It's kind of weird, different. They've tried to change the controls now to be more user friendly, but still it's still too weird for me. I don't know. So you're good that you managed to do that and work with 3D.
Yeah, and I was pretty keen when I swapped from Blender to Lightwave again after that week. I chose Lightwave because it was the one that made Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek DS9, Star Trek Enterprise, Firefly, Battlestar, Stargate. I mean, the list goes on. All of the best 90s and 2000s science fictions were all made in Lightwave. And now we've got modern PCs with all this extra render power. But as long as you stick to a certain version of Lightwave, because they've kind of gone beyond that now, but as long as you stick with a 2015 version, you can create things that feel about the same, but obviously in more HD. And I find that if I'm going to create a Star Trek VFX shot, I want to feel like a Star Trek VFX shot, and almost just like editing, the best editing is something you don't notice. The best VFX, if you can watch a film and say, "Oh, that was great," and you say, "What do you think of the VFX?" and I say, "Oh yeah, they were there," because they didn't stand out except the cool moments. But it's like that flyby of a Connie, you thought nothing of it. It was exactly as you thought a Connie would look like, but just a little bit more sexy or whatever. And that's kind of the key with Lightwave as well, is trying to recreate that. And I've often had shots for Trek Yards where people said, that could have been Voyager remastered. That could have been Voyager Blu-ray. I'm like, thank you. That's the compliment I wanted.
Yeah, definitely. When there is a 3D scene when the models are behaving weirdly, it's weird thing to say unnatural because they are just models and huge chunks of metal in space, but still, when it just doesn't move the way that they are used to, it's weird. So when it works exactly as you expect, that's the best. That's awesome.
And often you kind of not have to fight the director, producers, but often their edit might be 3 seconds, but the sweeping nature of a ship needs 3.5. And sometimes those 15 frames can make all the difference. And it's my job to kind of like blend those of what you might need and what you really need.
So actually, how does it work with the directors? Do they listen? Do they enable you range like from 3 to 5 seconds for this shot?
I mean, it's so variable. I mean, I've worked with projects that have literally been finished and it just needs VFX, kind of like you guys. Some that are not even at script, some that are in between. I mean, it hugely varies. Sometimes I get storyboard style stuff. Most of the time I just get either a script or a breakdown of what's needed. There isn't normally any sense of seconds, but you kind of know, one of my old film lecturers said, if you can afford to shrink a shot down, do it. There's something about a more snappy shot. You know, you can have too much, and so yeah, if a flyby is 12 seconds, it's probably a bad flyby unless it's very special. You know, so all those things just make sense anyway. And then you work with them, and normally one of my key tricks I like to think is that when I submit a shot to a director, I'm happy with it. Now, if I'm happy with it, with the 6 years of VFX experience and my high standards, if I'm ready for that to be good to go, often they say, "Oh wow," and I say, "Brilliant," because I will rather iterate on my own work in my own office to work out where I want to go, and then show them, and rather than, if they have a different vision for it, that's fine, we'll go from there. But I like to think if I think it's good enough, that's already quite a high bar,
So actually, when you deliver a shot, it's usually taken greatly, and they are satisfied, even if it's longer or shorter than expected, because it's just perfect.
I'll say half the time, yes, it's just perfect. No, it's honestly, yeah, like I said, my gut reaction, again, I come from a camera background, so I can feel if a shot's too long. Now, often, if I'm doing shots before they've filmed, which can happen, when they then, weeks, months later, put them in the edit, and I'm done, because they wanted me done early, it doesn't quite line up, and most of my people don't ever tell me if shots are actually back-to-back, because if you make, most of the time when you make a sequence, the things don't connect, there's a bit of dialogue in between, or they cut to exterior, whatever. But when they cut back to back, the shots actually feel like one big shot in a sense. And I've had a project recently where they didn't tell me any of the shots combined, and 3 did, and I would have done them all differently if I had known. And I was done, and I couldn't go back. It was too many layers, so I had to make a shot in between the shots to connect the shots because it just wasn't going to work. So that's planning. That's lack of planning, and that's why having a script is often a lot better, because you can format that, but also having an edit can really help. Yeah.
That's hard. Wow.
Yeah. It varies. I mean, honestly, it varies. And some projects just say, go do. Especially the more I've worked with them, if I'm on film 3, they know I can do the stuff, and they just say, we want to see these 6 shots impress us. And I'm like, and they're like, oh, cool. And often, this is why I like working with films earlier in the process, because I have this archive of ships, of stations, of things I can do from other projects and my own work, and Trekkies, obviously. I can suggest things they wouldn't even thought about. I'm doing this film right now, and I have a Daedalus class, I have a freighter, I have work bees, I have shuttles, and they were never envisioning them in the scene, but I can add them in. I can suggest, well, let's move this shot a little bit here, and now suddenly I can have all these background things moving that adds all this production value. But for me, it's ultra easy, but they wouldn't have known. And I have so many projects that can work together to share assets. So you say you want an Andorian ship, we have those pre-made. Would it make sense for a scene? Sure, and it adds value. So that's, so I can also add value just by knowing before, well, let's add some more scope, because often I don't care what's in the rendered. I want the end product to look as cool as possible. So if it's adding 3 more ships, it's like, yeah, but it looks cooler. It looks cooler though.
So is it actually better for you to work before the shoot?
I mean, you're meant to. Yeah, you're always meant to. Or at least before the edit, when there's kind of some, and a couple of films, I've read the script and I've seen distinct technical problems. It's like, that doesn't make sense. And then I have to kind of massage it in editing and things. There's one film where they had a battle, and the enemy ship attacked them at point blank with shields down. And normally you'd assume that would either be destruction of the ship, massive damage, or the actors would go like, and it's destroyed. But there was basically nothing in the edit that even felt like it. And yet they were saying, they're right here, and it made no sense. So I edited around that to try and make it like, and it's hard sometimes, but it's better before a project starts. But or just a project like yours where you have a shot list and it's just like, make these shots please. I'm like, okay boss, okay.
But does it actually when you, I don't know if you have seen any shots from Squadron.
I've seen the trailer ones, yeah.
The trailers, because when they shoot statically and no one's shaking or moving or anything, so it doesn't make sense to shake the ship, or I don't know, do some action shots really.
I mean, you can add some wiggle in post. You can add a bit of camera shake in post, but yeah, it's difficult. But I know we did some filming as well where you tell the actors to move, and it feels so unnatural, and often it takes a long time just to get a single take where everyone can have a successfully synced, shake. And that's one single moment. It's not as if that's a big thing, but you need, it's difficult.
Well, it is difficult. We've been trying to do that as well. And actually, we had to get a script, another girl that was standing behind the camera. And she actually had to count.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone just moved together.
Yep.
Otherwise, it didn't work.
Yep.
And actually clasped twice. Because everyone moved on the second class, and it was the timing was hard, and actually it had to be a shot without any speaking. So, well,
but it's fine. You guys just put your initial dampeners up. It's fine. There you go. Explained.
Yeah, you want some action in the shots. You don't want to just sit like in the living room and. Well, we're in the middle of battle, but no one feels like that.
I have had that on projects where there's a massive disconnect with what they want in the effects, where the exteriors are zooming and then it cuts to they're just talking, and that can often, but then often you watch like Voyager and TNG, and their action beats. The ships aren't moving that dramatically. It's only when we're more used to a more dynamic visual effects style that we expect these big graceful motions. But in reality, if you've watched Temporal Anomaly, my fan film, the Galaxy class does these big wide motions because it's a big sweeping ship, and that's action for it. And it still feels actiony because you understand this ship is doing this big thing, but it doesn't need to be it doesn't need to be Battlestar Galactica, which is a totally different vibe.
So, for Squadron, let's get back to Squadron. Did you actually just take a model from the database and use it, or are you using it?
The Norway is a funny one, actually. I'll tell you a little story which is definitely worth sharing. So, the ship was invented for First Contact in this whole set of fleets. Alex Jaeger designed it, and brilliant. Looked fine. It was one of the less well built ones that was furthest away, but it was good. It was good. Come DS9 and they say, right, we're going to make these big space battles. We're doing CGI. We want ILM's models. We can take them in. We can convert them. Great. We've got these models ready to go. And the producer said, what have we got? These. Show me them. Ooh, Norway-class. I don't like that. We don't want it. And so it was never taken by the company. And so that stayed on the ILM servers and was never saved, because the other teams never took it. So it would never have been any other shot or scene and was never saved by ILM. So that original Norway model is lost because the producer didn't like it. So you picked the ship that the one guy didn't like and was never seen again. So you are bringing it live for the second time ever. So that I'm thankful for, because it's an interesting ship, if incredibly flat.
It is flat, and not many people like that. I didn't pick it, so. But when the guys approached me, they picked this one ship, and they want to build a bridge because I designed the bridge for the ship. I was just asking them, why didn't they choose Steam Runner? It's so much more interesting. I don't know. This is just I didn't like that ship. Actually, from using it, I do like it now because it's kind of something that you played with already. But at the beginning, it was, weird feelings.
But I'll be honest though, having worked with both, I would definitely say Norway is better than Steam Runner. The back pod of the Steam Runner, the front's great, but the back pod and the way the nacelles are is not as good as Norway. The flatness is not as good on the Norway, but so the Norway model that we're doing for Squadron is really cool actually, because I have quite a high standard for my own films, and this is the hero ship, and actually several hero ships, and I guess a villain ship as well. And so we're going to get very close to it. We want it to be as good as possible. We have great reference, but also we can go beyond ILM or Eagle Moss. When Eagle Moss did their model for it, it was built custom for 3D printing. So all the details were exaggerated to look better in a physical print because small size. And so if you look at that model, I'm not a huge fan because it isn't built to be on screen. Now, while using it as reference is fine, you've got to look in a different way. Not just that, but they only had so much money to go towards building a model, and so they missed things like RCS thrusters, photon torpedo launchers, etc., etc. There's lots of little things. And so when this Norway project came up for you guys, it was take the basic shape, but also actually add in the entire checklist of functional things that a starship needs. Add full high-definition phaser strips, add the RCS, design where torpedoes go, forward and aft, design how the shuttle bays work, size, scale, what can they fit in, what can they not, the deflector, which I love the deflector you guys already had, that was a beautiful choice. Work out exactly the window scale, how to fit the bigger windows, how to make the bottom make more sense. We had a 10 forward style thing at the bottom, so as you go by I know the team doesn't like seeing the bottom, but you wait until you see my flybys, you'll see the interior of the 10 forward, it'll look great. Other little greebly details, and it was a big process, even so much as having a tractor beam emitter. Who knows, in film 3 you might have a tractor beam, and where does it come from, what needs to be there? So all these thoughts I put in over several weeks, building this incredibly high detail model, with the care and intention that hopefully once you see it on screen, you're like, well, yeah. And okay, that's not the best reaction because you want people to be impressed, but they will think, damn, that looks like a starship. Damn, looks like a Federation starship. Damn, that looks like the best I've ever seen of that class. And I guess 4 of them. So it's really, really fun to actually develop that for this project. And I think people will really find a new appreciation for the ship, seeing it in motion, because this one is a pretty cool model of it.
Actually, I've seen some screenshots or renders from you. I was surprised. I've seen shuttle bays on this class for the first time, and the thrusters and everything, and it was amazing. It really finally seemed like a full ship, like something that is workable.
Yep.
But I have a question for you.
Yep.
Have you seen the master situation display? That
yeah, I'd say so. It's beautiful.
did you consulted it where to put the hangar bay or?
No, didn't for that one. No, because I mean that's going to be out of focus for most of the shots. So it's kind of you know what I mean. Even like the Excelsior doesn't match the Excelsior one. Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but still, when you were speaking about all those little things that might come handy in the future, what about the warp core ejection hatch?
Yes.
Did you thought about
it? Yep, it's in there.
Cool. I was just I didn't found it, but it's cool.
And it also has the under event that is on Voyager, and I also, because I thought why not, it also has TMP and Nemesis style or Enterprise E style. I've got TMP style travel pod docking bays, as we see in multiple films. They're on Voyager, they're on the Enterprise D, they're all over. They're really subtle, but they're in there. So if you ever have in dry dock, we can actually follow a ship dock if we want to, just for added functionality, because lots of ships have them. So I tried to do the checklist, and yes, if you want to eject a warp core, we can eject a warp core.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah, and I also
what about the other hatches?
Like which?
Like when you connect to Deep Space Nine or when you connect to Space Dock, you usually can use a hatch.
Yeah, we tried to find a place to put the outside hatches, but yeah, I guess with this one they'd want to actually, it would be the inner ones. So the idea was that the shell is a very protective shell, and on the bottom end they've got a lot of the greebly stuff. So yeah, I guess you'd have to dock via the back. But yeah, there are doors at the back. One thing I did do though that I thought was important, the original model from ILM was basically all texture. And there are some good renders that for reference, but everything is not really there. Eagle Moss, they took that and didn't really take it much further. But in looking at it, just the weapons arrays didn't make a lot of sense. They are very small, infrequent phaser strips. I mean that's never happened on a ship. Every ship has a long phaser strip, so I redesigned where the weapons would go, try and give it more of a deliberate feel. And I know that I asked the team right at the start, what function is this ship? Is it a cruiser, heavy cruiser, whatever? And I know you guys sort of countered saying we're not sure, but it is still built for battle. It has that ability, and so yes, you want a fully fledged weapons array aft and forward, and I thought it was quite important just to when phasers fire, you need to see where they come from.
Yeah, I've seen the stripes and it's just it looks real. Yeah, they weren't there at all at the first model.
Well, they were just different.
It was just texture, or
Oh yeah, we have full geometry phase ships. Yeah, I have high standards with my team, but I've also made multiple of these ships with my team, so we kind of have pre-built things we can sort of put together. Yeah.
Cool. And you were working on the fight scenes?
I guess so. I'm kind of waiting till the Indiegogo finishes to know what exactly I'm doing. So I'm kind of waiting to read everything until then. But I'm excited. You know, this Norway is gonna look great. I've already done a test clip which came out better than I was expecting, which is great. You guys here are amazing, and the quality of the costumes, which I always think is key for a fan film. If the costumes are amazing, that makes a big difference. You know, often you put the background out of focus. So the costumes of the actor, that's key. So if you've got a good actor, a good costume, that is a lot of the bundle. And then you have a good set as well, and good sound, and good color grading. I mean, you have so much good stuff. You need the rest of it, from my side.
The renders they are not fine.
Oh god, nothing's final yet. We're currently doing the interior pass, which means we're going to put rooms inside every single window.
Really? Like 3D rooms? No. Isn't it like just a little bit over?
Nope. Believe me, the room parallax makes, because it's such a small-ish ship, and we're gonna get so close to it. No, full rooms, with the big rooms having actually like detailed rooms, like 10 forward. So if you do, and I was, they're built in a way that if you ever want to do a shot where if you zoom into 10 forward and see an actor, you could do it. It's available to be done. But I do often find that just the gentle flyby looks 1,000 times better when you can see all the little bits in the rooms moving. It makes a difference. It's always worth investing in if we can.
Amazing. I've actually found out, I don't know, it was like 2 years ago, that when there is a flyby of Enterprise D in the credits, in the starting credits, at the end of the starting credits, there's a flyby, and they actually have some animation in the windows of the conference lounge. Never noticed it, and as the quality, no one did actually.
Yeah, I've seen what that looks like, and it was just a hand drawn, like basic be a blur, but it's enough. It is, and once you see it in HD, it's like makes a difference.
And it's still an amazing detail that didn't have to be there.
Yep. And that's often the case. That doesn't have to be there. Details do make a difference. Like having all the escape pods on the ship have custom names. Escape pod 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a detail that's unique, but it's something. It's something. And knowing that you guys want to do this film and other films, it's like it's worth making the best one possible, because it's going to be every shot after will look better because of it.
Yeah, I know, and it's amazing. I'm really looking forward to see all actually the whole movie.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I hope it will be soon.
So Indiegogo, go to Indiegogo.
Go support us, please. Well, thank you for the interview. You were amazing, and I've learned a lot of new things. Really, it was great. Thank you. Thank you a lot.
I look forward to getting to production soon, because it'll be really soon. I mean, the calm before the storm here.
That's true. So, thank you a lot, and have a nice day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.